Cool. We'll kick it off. This is G, CEO of Vercel. He's here to give a few words about what Vercel is.
Well, raise your hand if you've used Vercel. Yes, you're in the right room. And I'm in the right room. But I'll tell you a little bit about the focus of Vercel in the era of AI and agents. So Vercel set out to democratize software creation, production, and delivery. We started out by building frameworks for humans that were really easy to use, and then those frameworks, when deployed, automated all the boring and hard parts of the cloud. We now have a name for this. We call it self-driving infrastructure. Raise your hand if you got here on a Waymo. All right, smart people. Or raise your hand if you got here on a Tesla full self-driving. Wow, very impressive. Okay, so imagine if we could apply the concept of autonomy, but for all of software and the cloud. That's Vercel's mission in the era of AI. And to do this, we're building a new set of primitives and services that allow you to build, deploy, secure, and scale agents. I believe that agents and the conversational interface are the new modality that's going to be here from here until we merge with the AGI. We're all using agents, and we're all should be building agents to run our businesses, to run our Mac minis with OpenClaw. And so it's a very exciting time also to be here in San Francisco because we're all at the cusp of this imminent singularity. So as you can see here, we will continue to invest in the frameworks that you know and love. Today, the Next.js team actually put out a banger blog post, if I may say so myself, about how they're thinking about building a framework that is optimized for agents. We're building the AI development suite of dev tools, or think of it as like dev agents, like V0 and the Vercel agent. And we're building new primitives, like the workflow primitive, sandbox, and gateway. But very important to the world of AI is the fact that AIs are not perfect. AIs make mistakes. AIs sometimes do not follow your instructions precisely. Sometimes they tell you you're absolutely right, and they proceed to do the wrong thing. And so we have always believed at Vercel that AI should be deployed in the service of quality. We should not just be content with spending a lot of tokens. It's funny, sometimes I see people on Twitter celebrating how many tokens they spent. Cool, you just spent $10,000. Great, I can also spend $10,000. But what are we doing with all this, right? I think we really need to continue to raise the bar of quality of the web, of software, of design, of the things that we put out into the world. And so we've been asking ourselves the question for a long time of how do we influence what AIs create? How do they behave? How do we make them be up to date with our frameworks and our innovations? How do we make them more token efficient so they get to the answer in a straight arrow and they don't stumble around? And so that's where the idea of creating the open skills ecosystem came to fruition. There's actually two cool things that gave rise and birth to skills.sh, which is the excuse for why we're all here today. One is that we've been in the pursuit of this democratization of the knowledge and skills that sit on top of the models for a long time, but Vercel itself enabled the crystallization of what today you know as skills.sh. Andrew, who will be talking about skills shortly, was able to bring that idea into fruition and deploy it extremely quickly, thanks to Vercel. I was there as a bystander, watching on Slack this thing get created from scratch, and it was genuinely amazing to see what Vercel can enable. We're discussing the idea, we're chatting a lot. Malte at some point said, wouldn't it be cool to have a package manager for Markdown files? And so we got to dogfood Vercel, bring this idea to fruition, and now it's actually gotten pretty darn big. So I think it's also a testament to how you can bring your own ideas to reality and scale them with Vercel in this fast-paced AI world. And so Skills has gotten really big. It's an open ecosystem. today we're joined here by partners and sponsors that are contributing to this ecosystem. So it's great to have the likes of Better Auth, the best Auth library, if I may say so tonight, and Neon, who's providing the foundations of serverless data infrastructure for a lot of our applications. So thank you all for joining us tonight. And now let's give it up for the creator of skills.sh, Andrew Q.
Nice work. Thank you, G. Who here has installed a skill in the past, I would say, 3 weeks? Nice. Who here has installed React Best Practices by Vercel in the past 3 weeks? Did y'all know that React Best Practices is the whole origin of why this whole thing exists? We have this really cracked web engineer at Vercel named Shu Ding. You may have seen his content somewhere. You may have seen him post about some React hacks or some web tricks. He decided one weekend to just write down all he knows about React and the web and publish it in this like web Bible. And we were trying to figure out how we can get this into the world. How do we make every coding model, every single person better at React to be as good as Shu Ding? And we initially thought maybe a blog post, maybe docs, but then sure, maybe Claude Sonnet 9 will know it, and maybe Gemini 7 would know it. And we also thought about putting it into an MCP server. But it felt a little heavy for just Markdown documentation. And so then we came to skills. And as I was helping him write the docs for how to use React Best Practices, I ended up having to copy and paste instructions from Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, all these different coding agents into very small, different sort of instructions. I was like, this is terrible. Let me just make a CLI that can install it all into one place. And that became NPX skills. And then we started adding anonymous telemetry to every time you install a skill to discover new skills. And that is exactly what powers our skills leaderboard, skills.sh. And so today, skills is very strong. We have so far 2 million plus installs using just our CLI, let alone everyone else's different methods of installing and copying skills. And we are tracking over 60,000 unique skills on skills.sh. And that's why today we actually announced that we are partnering with 3 security companies, Gen, Socket, and Sneak, to do security audits on all 62,000 skills. Because we want people to be able to use skills securely and also know what they're about to get into. And so here's a preview of the audits page, and I'll bring them up shortly to sort of give their spiel about what they're doing and how skills matters. But we are running audits on all 62,000 skills and every new skill that comes on. And we're giving you an assessment, and we're trying to give recommendations based on different providers and different partners in the industry. Thank you. And now maybe a few words from some of our security partners, starting with Gen Digital. Here's Shub from Gen Digital Agent Trust Hub.
Hey everyone, am I going on stage? Hi everyone, my name is Shub. I work at Gen Digital. We are building the agent trust layer. So we were really excited to partner with Andrew and skills.sh because as soon as skills dropped, there were so many skills and many of them were kind of sus. And we were we saw a lot of developers walk the fine line of like, do I let my agents go loose and figure out how to solve these problems? Or do I watch and monitor everything? And so we're really excited to partner here. Generally, our vision, our mission is to bring peace of mind to everyone. And so we really want you to unlock the power of your agents and give you the trust layer. We actually just launched a product, or we'll be launching tomorrow, called Sage, which will monitor every connection that comes in and out of any agents you have. So you can install it for Cursor, Claude Code, and basically tell your agents, go nuts. Figure out how to solve this problem, and you don't have to worry about your data being taken, any prompt injection risks, and things like that. And then the last thing I want to say is that, we're really excited to work with any developers, anybody that's building on this agent layer. So check us out at ai.gendigital.com. We have a booth in the back. Come find us. We can show you some cool stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Shub. And now from Socket, we have Ryan.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Hey y'all, I'm Ryan. I'm an engineering lead at Socket, and what Socket does is we scan open source software for malware. We've traditionally focused on like NPM and PyPI and Maven and whatnot, but we have started scanning like browser extensions and VS Code extensions as well, and now skills. These, I think these fit really well together. I think compared to what other people are doing for skills scanning, Socket is a little bit different because we do cross-ecosystem scanning of all of the files that are included in skills. So for example, there was one skill that we were looking at last week where if you just look at the Markdown file, there's nothing suspicious in it. Like everything looks completely fine, but the skills directory included some Python code which opened a backdoor and like opened a remote shell for an attacker to run arbitrary code on your machine, which is obviously really bad. And we were able to find that because we look at all of the skills, all of the source files in the skills directory and run our cross-ecosystem scanners on all of those. And then we also use a combination of static and AI analysis to look at the skills. So we will do like a static analysis first pass to look for suspicious signals, and then we reduce noise using an LLM. And that allows us to get better determinism, more consistent results, more reliable results, and also better resilience to prompt injection. We benchmarked ourselves on like 800 skills over the last week, and just like some numbers, we saw like 95% precision, 98% recall, and 97% F1. So we're still improving this. I think we got a long way to go, but the initial results have been really promising, and we are excited to work together on making skills safe to use. They're really awesome, and we want to make it so that you don't have to worry about them. So thanks so much, y'all.
Thank you, Ryan. Now we're gonna have some cool demos from some of our partners, as well as some maybe demonstrations of skills, maybe some things they've built, starting with David Kramer from Sentry.
This is interesting. Hey, everybody. If you don't know me, I started Sentry a long time ago, the error monitoring company and other things. We have this product called Seer, which does code review is probably the easiest way to think about it, but it's about error prediction. And so I thought it would be a good idea to recreate something like Seer and give it away for free. But mostly what I was interested in was like, what if you could run skills on pull requests? What if you could treat prompts or agents as linters, assuming you have unlimited budget, mind you. And so I built something, which again, is technically a competitor to us. I guess a competitor to Vercel agent too, but called Warden. It's warden.sentry.dev. It's on GitHub. And let's see, we got, I'll call it 4 minutes remaining. I'm going to go through this real quick, but what I thought would be fun is because everybody likes to pick on Neon, I thought we would keep that going. And so I have the Neon skills repo locally. And let's see if I got everything in my history here. I just want to show you what this does because it's pretty straightforward. So we run Warden init. It creates a config file. It creates a GitHub workflow. And then it actually uses your Claude credentials. And so we're actually going to be able to run it. And I also have this little skill scanner, coincidence, purely coincidence, that we wrote internally to demo this, that we run on pull requests to our internal skill repo, if that makes any sense. Don't worry about it too much. Just know I have this scanner thing. And then I'm going to run this, and then I'm going to talk about what's going on. We want this one. And so what this does is it's a harness that can wrap any skill file. For example, it works great with the React best practices from Vercel. Here's a demo of what that looked like. We'll let the Neon thing run in the background. I actually took a starter Next.js app, ran this against it, and I don't know if that's big enough. Let me increase the size. And I forcefully created a component that looks like what everybody would love with use effect and a bunch of other things. And then I just ran this against it, stock, just with the next React best practices. And it found a bunch of problems. And so you can kind of imagine what this looks like. You can imagine a linter as an agent. That's all it is. It's a harness that wraps skills, chunks it up like you would with like a code review bot. Gives you the suggested fixes, just like a linter. It'll fix them for you. And And importantly, you can also run this as a GitHub action. And so we actually designed this primarily because I wanted to see how hard it would be. And I also want to run a bunch of security tests on every pull request. Because we found with agents, you can effectively prevent certain classes of vulnerabilities and other concerns as long as you have quite a large budget. And so you'll see in this case, one thing I implemented was pricing transparency. I don't know if you can read this. This took 5 cents, 6 cents, 7 cents, something like that to run. Let's see how the neon one's looking and see if it actually is safe. And by the way, oh no, did I close it? Well, we can pull it up. I was led to believe that there could be a risk in the neon, the skills, which is why we chose this as a test. So I think you can see this. Oh no, this thing's in the way, sorry. We got a couple yellow flags here on neon, so I don't know. We'll see if Andre can figure that out, but we have it running over here. It's gonna take too long, but don't worry, I'm great at live demos. And so we already ran this. No issues found. Now, granted, this is just a prompt. It's a synthesized prompt from a bunch of research online. If you know what that means, you can figure it out. If not, and the harness adapted it. And what you can see is this took about 2 minutes to run across the whole skill repo there, which does it need to run on all that? No, it doesn't need to run on the SVG, probably. I don't know, some security person can tell me otherwise. It cost us, what was it, $2.15? Where do I print it? Down at the bottom, $2.15 to run this. You can imagine how expensive this could get. I think in a lot of pull requests, we count this as like $10 to $20 per run. And so this is not for somebody that's like, let me min-max my $200 a month Claude Code subscription and whatnot. This is for like, I guess like serious business where you're willing to spend money to not have concerns. But that's it. It's pretty straightforward. If this thing speaks to you, I'd love to talk about it because I think it's a very clever idea. Ooh, but we got one. I was hoping this would happen. Probabilistic LLMs. External MCP server connection enables remote instruction loading. Oh, that's true. That's fine. Anyways, cool. That's my demo.
Welcome, Sentry, to the security auditing partnerships. Up next, we have Andre from Neon.
All right. I guess I was introduced already, and Neon as well, but I'm going to do an introduction regardless. So I'm a DevRel at Neon. We are now a Databricks company. We have a brand new website. It looks awesome, so check us out. You can find us on neon.com. We are a serverless Postgres provider, and we are also on the Vercel marketplace. And naturally, as David already pointed out, I have a skill. We have an agent skill for Neon. I think otherwise I wouldn't be here today. And I don't know what everybody's talking about. It's totally passing, right? So that's weird. Anyhow, so what is the skill doing? It's exactly doing what you would imagine. It just makes your agents take full advantage of Neon, right? So Neon has a lot of cool features, like branching and autoscaling. Some of them are very easy for you to use because you're just using the Neon connection string. It's Postgres, and then you get started. But some of them, with branching, for instance, it's great if the agent gets a little bit of steering and information for how to properly use it, right? And that's exactly what the skill is doing. And I have a very simple demo here today to demonstrate this. So when Neon first started, we launched Neon's serverless driver, which is a way for you to connect to your Postgres database using HTTP and WebSocket connections, which is really cool if you're on a serverless function, just because you don't have to set up a TCP connection, which just takes too much time. But since then, Vercel launched Fluid Compute. Shout out to Vercel's Fluid Compute. It's really awesome. And then we have some other competitors as well, that are hosting providers that have long-running connections. For instance, like Cloudflare has Hyperdrive. So there's a lot more nuance to how you should connect to Neon now. So this is like a decision tree. It's not really important what it says, but you can see based on where you're hosting, you should pick a different connection method for Neon. And this is one of those things where there's a lot of nuance. And to communicate that to your agents, that's perfect with skills. So we have a maybe no skill issues demo here. And what it is just the Next.js app with the Neon skill installed. And I'm going to run just a very simple prompt. This is a new Next app. I plan to host it on Vercel, right? That's the clue. Please set it up with Neon and Drizzle. And then I have a little joke in here. Who likes to shitpost on Twitter? Hey, that's really surprising. I think you guys are lying. Way more of you guys are probably shitposting on Twitter. Anyhow, so whatever this agent will come up with, it will also tweet it. So you can find me at Andre Landgraf on Twitter. And hopefully the agent does well. Otherwise, you can roast me over there. All right. While this is running, We can go over here. Skill issues. So this is what happened if you were just prompting your agent, say like, hey, I want to set up Neon with Drizzle. So this is exactly what would happen. It works. So this code 100% works, but you can see it uses the Neon serverless driver, which is fine. But on Fluid Compute, you can actually do pooling now with database pooling and Vercel's a touch pooling function. So like they have a really nice way now to do pooling. It's a little bit faster. TCP connections over time can be reused now across different requests. And that's just something your agent won't pick up by itself unless it's like steered and hinted a little bit in that direction. So let's see what the agent here is doing. I have like 1 more minute. Otherwise, I jump to the final solution. See what it's doing. Config file. Who uses Drizzle here? All right, shout out to Drizzle. They're awesome. Schema. All right, come on. Client, let's go. Vercel functions package, Node Postgres, vanilla TCP driver. So this looks perfect. So this is exactly what I wanted to showcase. Not using the Neon serverless driver anymore, because on Vercel, there's a cleverer way to do it today. And that's the power of skills, right? You can just steer it in the right direction. That's my demo. I'm going to be at the Neon booth if you want to talk to me about serverless Postgres.
Amazing. Up next, we have Evan Bacon from Expo.
All right, I'm Evan Bacon. I am the head of AI at Expo. Expo is the #1 framework for building mobile apps with AI agents. It's powering beautiful apps such as the new V0 iOS app by Vercel. Expo enables you to go from idea to App Store entirely from the command line. It's the only framework that allows that on mobile. And LLMs are very well trained on Expo already. But thanks to agents like Claude Code, the Expo framework is evolving much faster than ever before. And all the knowledge that these models are trained on is quickly becoming outdated. For example, we just released Expo Router v7, which has a ton of brand new UI features and components, starting with the new SwiftUI tab bar accessory view in iOS 26. We've also added native gesture-driven shared element transitions. We've expanded the header toolbar buttons and menus to bring you all the beautiful native SwiftUI views. It's liquid glass, and I'm noticing now you can really almost not make it out at all on these screens. Or on your iPhone screen, to be honest. We've added a new toolbar API for stationary actions and context items that you can pin to the bottom of each route. And this new form sheet that supports footers using the new synchronous React updates in React Native. It'll take probably a while for agents to know about these features by default, but we want to use them today. We want everyone using all of these new features as soon as they come out, before they're even released stably in iOS. So that's where skills come in. We just released the official Expo skills for AI agents. These skills can upgrade your app automatically, implement all the new Expo features that I just showed, and help you deploy your app everywhere. App Store, Play Store, wherever you need. These were built around Claude Code because that's my personal favorite agent tool. Skills can be used with any agent tool thanks to the MPX skills package. Fantastic package, made tweeting this easy. Although I think I tweeted this when it was add skills, and then you guys changed skills the next day. Yeah, you can use skills obviously with any agent, but I do find that they sort of just work best with whatever agent they were written for. So Claude Code probably your best mileage right now. Here's a quick side-by-side where I asked Opus to build a social feed, and then I added the new Expo skills, and I asked it to upgrade the UI. First, upgrade the app to the latest Expo, and then update the UI. So here we have like sort of a bootstrappy style. Everything's really custom, and the floating action button is sort of broken on the left. And then on the right, it's upgraded everything to proper native views, SwiftUI, SwiftUI header, SwiftUI tab bar, the works. So much of mobile app development is locked behind user interfaces like Xcode and Android Studio. And in Expo, we're making everything headless so that agents can drive. For example, we're actively working on this efficient agent verification with LLDB. That's the debugging library for Xcode. So here's a work in progress skill, which can reason about and fix header and keyboard issues by dumping the sort of tree, not the accessibility tree, but the actual like native tree, because there's a lot of private views in there, and then giving it to an agent which understands what those private views mean. So issues like keyboard handling, which are notoriously the hardest problems in mobile, can be solved automatically by an agent, which is very exciting for mobile people. And then lastly, not a skill, but in our MCP, you can now ask Claude Code to fix all native iOS crashes that occur in production. This one's pretty sweet as well. You know, the old meme of like, if you want that native feel in a website, just do like on error and then like window.close. Very frustrating when your app just crashes, but Apple actually reports all these errors in a way that developers can access, but it's hidden behind many layers of GUIs. So now you can just install the MCP and say, fix every problem in my app, and it will aggregate them, collect them, find any feedback, and then collect the stack traces and start fixing them one by one. We've been using this for our app, Expo Go. It's a top 10 app, and it fixes every single issue as it occurs now. So pretty fucking sweet. And later this month, we will be announcing more agentic tools to enable you to iterate even faster, build from any sort of surface, more agents, make everything feel like a forward deployed engineer is right there in your code base. So stay tuned, follow us on X for more at Expo or Bacon Bricks, and thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Speaking of Stably, we have Neil from Stably.ai.
Hello. I was noticing there's this skills sticker on the front. I just wonder if they keep putting new ones on. Like if you dig deep enough, is there like the original Next.js sticker? It's like in the back of your license plate. Hey everyone, I'm Neil, co-founder and CTO of Stably. We are an AI testing platform. So we build agents that run in your CI that automatically build, run, and maintain end-to-end tests. That's what we do, but that's not what I'm gonna talk to you about. I'm actually gonna talk about if you use Slack a lot like us. We actually built something called Agent Slack, and it just lets your Claude Code, whoever you're using, use Slack. And I'm just gonna show that. And so I can do a little live demo if people like that. Otherwise, I'll show examples. But you all have got that person on your team that sends you a message. And, maybe you don't want to actually read the 12 replies. So you can just go in and you can just say like, hey, I'm going to say summarize, and you can just paste in the URL that you get. And what's up? I do not have the build. Oh, with the text. Okay. You're right. Thank you. All right, cool. So yeah, it will tell you what the summary is. In this case, it was a recipe for chocolate covered French fries, which everyone loves. And otherwise, you'd have to read a long thread. So now you don't need to. And that's a basic showcase. So you can put in a thread or even a canvas. Canvas are just Markdown underneath, so it can read those. And I'm just going to showcase some other things. You can be a little more creative. This is something that we did. We have obviously users in Slack, we have users in GitHub, and we wanted a mapping between them for like task creation stuff from Slack. And so you can just tell it to do that for you, and it can find the users, and like it's honestly smart enough, your AI, where it's like, okay, I'm going to look into these and match all the users. And it can do search, and we've found that oftentimes this is better than Slack's AI search. No hate, but it is. I think Slack has a little to improve there. You can also just be really lazy. You can just say like, hey, take care of this. Then you can walk away from your computer, and it might send a message on your behalf. They don't need to know. And then the example I gave was just me telling it as well to make a long thread of the chocolate covered French fries. So you can just do stupid things as well. So it's very flexible. And this is how do you know that your skill is useful? In our case, somebody from Salesforce started a repo. So I guess if they're using it internally, maybe it's useful. So that's what I got. So thanks, everyone. You can install the skill, npx skills add.
Nice work. Now we have Harold from GitHub, Microsoft.
Hello. I work on VS Code, and we've been actually jumping in the agent skills game early on, just like with MCP. So same day as Anthropic, which was a lot of fun, shipping stuff with Anthropic, lots of friends there to work on specs, including MCP. So, and at the same time, it shipped across VS Code. The coding agent runs in your PRs and Copilot CLI. And one of the things that I'm really proud of shipped at the same time, basically me adding the vibes over the weekend, is we added skills to awesome GitHub Copilot, which is our kind of primary curated repo of community-maintained custom agents and everything else. And the community really stepped up. And that's like such an amazing part of having a spec that everybody can contribute to. So over 520 plus skills and agents and prompts in this repo now. We have about nearly 1 million visitors per month in this repo. And then 10,000 skills already via skills.sh, which is cool. And the cool part is a Microsoft or GitHub-owned repo, but actually 80% of contributors are outside of the company. So in VS Code since then, we now support .agent/skills, which is one of the recurring things when I pitch skills, but where do I put them? So now we can put them into .agent/skills, and most of the agents will actually know that it exists. We also added the kind of evolution of skills into slash commands and staying on top of that, which is a really exciting thing to have like one format, one Markdown file for all these primitives. And lastly, I've been actually pulling a lot more built-in skills for agent customizations, allowing you to create skills right from within VS Code using skills, which is very meta. So one cool thing I want to talk about for VS Code is we have these extension integration points, actually for skills as well. So there's extension integration points that your extension, which ships the UI for humans, can also ship the right context and actions, including MCPs, for the agent itself. These can be bundled, so hard-coded as a skill MD file, but there's also a skill provider that allows you to just actually generate them on demand. And that allows you to do interesting things. Like, so one, I have to highlight MCP apps running in VS Code, which is a fun, which is a great use case for XKellyDraw. But then if you actually run in this repo, I created a skill for using our new skill API. That's how meta skills usually get, to implement then against this dynamic provider API, a simple one for creating a runtime. And this actually just added the skill into an extension. And that extension then auto-generates this skill file on demand in the editor. And you would wonder, why would you auto-generate them? It's just Markdown, just run CLI commands. But with anything you ask the agent to execute, the more determinism you add, will the agent run the right thing? Will it actually get the right data? In this case, I was actually to, because it's dynamic generated, include all the build steps for TLDraw in this skill so the agent automatically knows what the runtime environment is. So really interesting if you want to get skills more deterministic, upload, get them to context. Okay, so going back, we're excited about agent skills because we want to get this distribution scale, things like skills.sh that make just getting skills easier, but getting more concrete, like what is plugins, what is the acquisition story, should it be in the spec, should it be somewhere else? We want to drive that. Skills and MCP, there's a new working group, which will be exciting to bring MCP as a way to actually acquire skills plus the tools. And lastly, stabilizing the spec. It's very fast in motion, a lot of clients innovating, so I want to bring that forward. Thank you.
Up next, we have Sean from Browser Use.
How many of you guys have heard of Browser Use? Yeah, so we're a pretty big open source library. And the big rundown is that essentially Browser Use lets your AI agent use the web. And so that means like if you have your Claude bots, if you have your or OpenClaw, if you have Claude Code, all you have to do is install the Browser Use CLI and the skill.md file from skills.sh, and that agent can now use Browser Use subagents and Browser Use cloud browsers. And so what we provide is cloud browsers that actually make your AI agents look like humans. That implies CAPTCHA solving, anti-bot, and also handling authentication with your passwords and your accounts. On top of that, we give you guys access to browser use sub-agents, the fastest browser use agents in the world, to do tasks in parallel. And so that implies that you can take your OpenClaw bot and say, hey, I want you to spin up 100 browser use sub-agents to explore 100 websites in parallel, and now your agent has all that context. So at browser use, we love OpenClaw. This is our in-house Claude bot. What it does is it takes in every single stargazer that comes into our repo. We have around 78,000 stargazers at this point. Every single stargazer uses a browser use CLI and skill to analyze not only their GitHub profiles, but also their complete X profiles, as well as their X activity and their LinkedIn activity. And what we can do with this information is that we can say, hey, is this a cool person to reach out to and see if we can collaborate or hire. And yeah, it's been super useful in our case. I don't know if you guys have had luck with OpenClaw, but yeah, it's been awesome for us. But yeah, I'm going to do a quick demo right here. And so this is my DMs with Oracle. That's what I like to call it. And I'm just going to say run 3 browser use sub-agents. Oh my God, I'm so bad at typing. To summarize my all tabs of my X Explore page. And so what this is going to do is it's going to take my X profile that I sync to the browser use cloud, and it's going to spin up 3 browser use sub-agents in parallel to summarize each one of those tabs. So in this case, it's going to be the For You page, the news page, and some other page that it finds. So I'm just going to run this. And while this is running, browser use has been super sick and useful on skills.sh. We've gotten a lot of downloads. But yeah, the other use cases that we have is that we can actually use a browser CLI to tunnel connections, or tunnel localhost connections. So this means that what you can do is, if you are developing an app in your local stack in your development stack, you can tunnel that localhost connection, and then you can say, okay, run 100 browser sub-agents to test out each one of these features in your spec. And so it seems like it's summarizing my X Explore page. And right here, this is where we're going to find our agent sessions. I guess it already succeeded. With the agents, you have access to their inputs, all their outputs. And so in this case, it explored my For You page. Let me just zoom in here real quick for you guys. This is my Explore page, or my For You page, I mean. This is my trending tab. And this is my news tab. And so I'm going to say it finished, because I don't think it's processing this. But yeah, we have access to these outputs and their inputs, as well as all these traces. And so you can see exactly what this agent has run in the background and in parallel. But yeah, this is gonna take some time, but I think I had a run previously, and so it's the same thing. I finished, and it just explores, or it summarizes all those tabs, and now it has context of my Twitter, I guess. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Up next, we have Becca from BetterAuth.
Hey guys, I'm Bereket. I'm a founder of BetterAuth. I'm gonna say some things about BetterAuth and how we started. It started as like a side project of mine because I was kind of frustrated with Auth. And I started working on like a thing called Better Auth, and we called it Better Auth, ironically. And then we've been growing a lot. And today we use from like someone's side project to something like ChatGPT. When you log into ChatGPT, you use us. Yeah. So it's an Auth framework, and it helps you to be able to own your Auth. And our mission has been like to democratize Auth. We want to allow people to be able to roll their own Auth and have Auth on their own server and on their own DB without a lot of hassle and without being required to use a third-party service. Beyond like the basic stuff that we have, you have a plugin system where you can add a lot of features from two-factor. Even you can add things like SSO and SIM and things like that. And we even have like a payment services that you can use with Better Auth. Okay, I'm a fan of Skills and Andrew. I'm not sure about that. Okay, cool. So I think we were one of like the first people to adopt Skills. I think that was like the perfect thing for us. We were using MCP before, but it was not like the right medium to deliver, especially like this kind of stuff. So Skills has been like really great for us. I'm gonna demo something. So I install like skill here. We have one skill called create auth skill. It helps you implement auth. So I have like a bare bone Next.js project. I'm gonna like write implement auth. Hopefully it's gonna use our skill. So using our skill, one of the things that this skill helps you do is that it's gonna prompt us to select what kind of auth methods we need and stuff like that. And then once we tell like what kind of auth we need, the AI can roll our auth in the most secure way and in a way that you can extend it with any other method down the line. So that's like the main goal of Better Auth, and especially with this skill, you'll be able to do that. Okay, hopefully you will. I'm gonna do that as well. All right, cool. So beyond that, I also asked Claude to create a login page like Vercel. I just took a screenshot, and then I asked it to create implement auth similar to Vercel. And it will actually implement similar to Vercel auth, including things like even passkey and SAML, which is like, kind of crazy. So yeah, here like that, you can answer things like email and password. You can tell it like to implement two-factor, even orgs and whatnot, and then it will implement it. But let me show you like what I've done with like the Vercel demo. So I asked it to implement Vercel auth, and it actually did. So this is like our Vercel demo. So it will actually work. I'm gonna use GitHub, and it will send me the GitHub. It's just literally like one prompt, and we implemented auth. And even crazier, we have passkey. So you can register your passkey, and you can log in your passkey. Yeah, so this Better Auth, we help people on their auth, and if you want to use like auth on your own auth instance, check us out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can now roll your own auth. Up next, we have Nick from Mintlify.
Hey, I'm Nick. I work at Mintlify. Mintlify helps people build beautiful developer documentation sites. How many of you guys have been to the Claude Code docs at some point? Yeah, a good number. This is an example of a Mintlify site. They all kind of look like this. If you've seen developer docs and you've noticed they have this visual to them, they are usually a Mintlify site. They always have this feature to copy page or add an MCP or view as Markdown. And one thing that we've noticed in the past year at Mintlify is traffic has gone from being 90% humans, 10% bots that scrape for SEO, to 50% humans and 50% coding agents. There's almost equivalent traffic to the documentation sites we host for developer tools for some customers like Anthropic, Coinbase, Lovable, and Perplexity, coming from Claude Code or Cursor as there are humans, which is crazy. And as a result of that, we've been really pushing to make the documentation sites built more for agents. And to that end, we auto-generate skills for every site that runs on Mintlify. So for our own site, for Claude Code's site, for Bun's site, for Perplexity's site, for Coinbase's site, there's a skill present by default, available at the well-known path, which you can install easily. And I'm going to give a quick demo of that. So here you can see, I'm going to up arrow to the Claude Code docs. We're going to shrink them to just the default path. And then we are going to use the skills CLI to auto-detect where the skill is, and then go ahead and make the install happen. And thanks to Andrew and the excellent team at Vercel, this is an extremely easy process that I can just return all the way through. And yeah, it's cool. Like, the beauty of this is that it works for all the various sites that use Mintlify. And if your business is setting up documentation for your product, whether that be a help center, an API, or some other developer tool, you can use Mintlify to automatically have a skill present. So you don't have to use your team's resources or your own time to write that skill manually. It's quite cool, and that's my time.
Thank you all so much for sticking around. Ben Davis, would you like to show off some cool skills?
All right, so I'm Ben. I work for a pretty small YouTuber named Theo. You might have heard of him. And what I want to talk about is getting the right context into your agents. I want to start by talking about remote functions in Svelte, which I know is a very random thing to start this with. But one of the problems you'll run into with any of these coding agents is, while on paper, both Claude and 5.3 should be really good at getting the up-to-date stuff, the training cutoffs just aren't there. They say that they know everything from like up to I think September of this year or something, but they just don't. A lot of the things you'll want to have them do, they don't know how to do, even though they are extremely smart and capable of figuring things out. And this is a really good example of that because these are fairly new. They came out, I think, last fall, and these agents just cannot use them out of the box. You need to tell them how to do that. Skills are a great way to do this, but there are also other ways that you can do that. So what I did here is I put together 4 little demos to basically just build out a very basic weather dashboard using remote functions for fetching and posting data to the server. So this first one is not using the skill. This is using a text skill. This is using a skill with some documentation on how to use an MCP in it. And then this one is with a code reference. So all of them worked, all of them got there. And the actual results of this were really interesting because if we start with the without skill one, I had to do this one in open code with Minimax because one of the cool things about the new versions of Claude within Claude Code is they're really, really eager to go figure things out. I had to yell at it to like, hey, stop trying to do web searches, stop trying to use skills, stop trying to figure out some way to figure out how to do this. I had to switch to open code, turn off all the tools to get basically a control group on this. And the actual code output it did without the skill was very incorrect. It used the old patterns of doing these things. It wasn't right. But again, that's all it knows how to do. These things only know what they're trained on. You have to get that extra context in there. And the first way I did that was with a regular skill. So this one was using Claude Code. It's using Sonnet 4.6, which dropped this morning. It went for about 8 minutes or whatever, and it got everything entirely correct. The skill that I put in here, let me pull this up. The text skill is very basic. It is just a bunch of instructions on like what remote functions are, plus this little references MD file in here, which gives some code examples. All this is doing is just, okay, here are some examples of how to do it. It pulls those in, figured it out just fine. Another one I did was, let me move that. Another one I did was using a skill that instead of giving it instructions on how to use remote functions, I just gave it some information about using the Svelte MCP. So what it did in here, pull that up. What it's doing in here is, again, there's no information on remote functions. It's just basically giving it the top of a search tree to figure out how this stuff actually works. Because again, all skills are is just Markdown files. Like technically, yeah, you can do some other stuff with like scripts and commands, whatever. generally speaking, these are just lazily loaded Markdown files that you can give to your agents to pull in more context. So it pulled in this piece of context to be like, okay, here's how to use the Svelte MCP. Then it can go down that tree and it can be like, okay, I'm going to grab from the documentation more information on remote functions. And then it was able to figure it out from there. That run took, again, about 8 minutes, did it perfectly. The last one I did was actually a little bit different. Instead of giving it a skill or an MCP or an agents MD, whatever, I actually built out a separate example in this code base using all of the patterns that I wanted it to use of remote functions. Showed it how to do a query, a command, a form. All of those were pre-populated. And in the actual prompt, instead of telling it to use a skill, I told it to use the existing to-do app example as a reference. And it did it perfectly. It got it in 2 minutes and 48 seconds. All of these things work. All of these worked perfectly. They're just different ways of getting the information into the agent. And that's the important piece with these skills. All the really cool demos we saw up here, the value in them is the actual content that we get in there. And I want to be super clear here. I am not saying this to say that skills are bad. I'm actually saying skills are amazing. The fact that we have the skills marketplace to just pull this extra context in is incredibly useful. It can give you the steps, the information that you need to make the agents actually do the thing right out of the box with no extra effort. It's really, really good. There are just a lot of other ways of doing this. And one of the trickiest things that I've found building out more complex systems with these agents is, okay, how do we get the right context in here? And skills are a very, very good way to start and get something in, especially if you don't already have a baseline. It's a great place to start. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Amazing. Finally, last but not least, Gerdos from Smithy.
So Smithy is it's basically an MCP marketplace to discover and connect to thousands of MCP servers. So you can basically, as a human agent, come in here, browse for basically anything you're kind of looking for. This used to be kind of the common way that people would discover and actually connect MCPs, but with the advent of some of the later models, Opus and family. Agents are now more than capable of actually doing a lot of the legwork of MCP discovery. So that's basically the reason why we decided to kind of change the ergonomics of our CLI to make it more kind of agent friendly. And along with that, we actually shipped a skill, which basically allows the agent all the context it needs to basically be able to interact with the CLI in a really kind of reliable way. As far as reliability, we'll find out soon because I'm going to have a little live demo to actually test this out. So let's just get started with that. So first thing I'm going to do is going to go ahead and just install using the dope npx skills installer. I just installed the Smithy skill. I'm going to go ahead and run with dangerously skipped permissions because I like safety. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw in a prompt here. Not the most revolutionary, kind of like a little use case here. But basically the idea is that I'm expecting a Neon database to be stood up. I'm expecting a bunch of Exas searches, a bunch of research to be kind of distilled into really nicely normalized data. But we will find out. So this is basically first step is that it's going to load the skill, and then it's going to obviously do all the some of the guidance around the actual skill markdown is kind of helping it out here, making sure that it's logged in, authenticated to all the different MCPs. It's discovering them, listing them, and hopefully it's just going to cook pretty soon. So it's kind of kicking these off in parallel. It looks like it found Neon. It found a chart generation MCP, and it's going to kind of continue on from there. But this is async, so I could come back to this? Is that? Do you have an example run where this is already run before? Do not have an example run, but yeah. 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 So basically, I should have probably saved one of my previous runs, but yeah, the final result will be obviously a database where the agent will actually submit queries, generate a couple charts. It's doing the research, but yeah. All through Smithy.
And those are all the demos. Thank you all for coming out. I hope that we helped you alleviate your skills issues. You should no longer have any skill issues after tonight. And I'll be around. All of our amazing sponsors and partners will also be around at the after event. We're gonna have food, drinks. Feel free to mingle and feel free to talk to any of us. Thank you all for coming out.